Hey, good morning, everyone. Today's agenda for a live session is to like elaborate or have a discussions on the topic called as how velocity evaluation estimation of a team using Scrum. As we all aware about, in case of agile way of software development, agile is a methodology where we need to follow the Scrum ceremonies. So in our earlier discussion, we find out how we can able to estimate the capacity of a team. Majorly, capacity means the availability of all the team members, number of hours they are they are dedicating for the software development. So in that way, we can find out the total capacity of a team for a week, or if your sprint is of 15 days, then you can find out the capacity of a team to deliver that sprint. Now, today's agenda is a bit different. That is capacity versus velocity. How we can estimate the velocity of a team. As you know, while picking the backlogs with the discussion with project manager and the team lead, we find out as per the priority given by the product manager, we decide the backlog items for that particular sprint, which is having the start date and end date. While picking the product backlog items, popularly called as PBIs, product owner or product manager will push certain things on the basis of priority of a stakeholders, that these are the sprint we need to release, these are the objectives we need to release in that sprint. Every PBI having a user story. Now user story means where the objective of that problem, that backlog item, is well described with the acceptance criteria, with the objective to be achieved, with the UI designs if there are any that will be attached to it. In short, it is well described, the problem definitions by the product owner. At the same time, that user story was allocated a story point. Now, story point in the sense, how much, it's an estimation, how much number of hours, how much duration it's a generalized estimation, and that is called a story points. Means every user story, every product backlog items have a story point. Now, to estimate the story points, as we all know that story points are mainly like a Fibonacci series, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, right? So one story point equal to, there is a estimation, one story point equal to that much number of hours it will take. So it's just a generalized estimation. So product owner had given a story point to that particular user story, and he will explain everything, the objectives, or he will pick up that backlog item for the development with after the discussion with the project managers. Now, once the backlog item is locked for that particular sprint, then it's a responsibility of project manager to get it delivered as per the objective sets, as per the acceptance criteria set, and it has to be delivered within that durations only. In case of sprint planning, about the story points, if you have any queries or if you think that as per the capacity or the velocity of a team, that story point is not justified, then he can suggest product owner to give more story points, or mostly story points cannot be updated because it's an expertise of the product owner that they generalized estimations is given to that particular user story. To understand it furthermore, let us say, for example, there is a user story where team has to develop a login window where the credentials of the user, ID and password need to be validated, need to be authenticated, and then the OTP will be raised to the specific user ID, to the specific email ID, and then that OTP need to be provided, and then in this manner the user get authenticated to enter into the system. Now this product backlog item with the title, with the description, with the acceptance criteria, with attached UI, with the story point given by the product owner or the product manager, discuss with the project manager, and then project manager will pick up this backlog item, allocate to the specialized developer who will be responsible for converting this design into the front-end development. At the same time, if we want to, there is a back-end API is required for validating, front-end validations are there, so that as per that all the acceptance criteria, project manager have to pick up the developer and allocate that problem definitions or the PBI to that developer. So he is well aware about the story points given to that PBI, and he should be able to estimate that within, to justify that story points, the team member or the developer should able to complete it within that durations and set it for the QA. While performing this thing, while doing this process, while going through that process of estimations, whether that as you know about the story points allocated to that particular PBI, and how much capacity of my team, and how much, like this is I'm talking about one single PBI, but there are, in this manner, as per the capacity of a team, the accumulation of the story points equal to the capacity of a team. But you know one thing, after locking that all the backlog items, the velocity means how much pace or the rate by which my team can able to develop and deliver the PBIs. That estimation has to be there. Otherwise, once the PBIs are locked for that particular sprint, and if my team is not able to deliver, it means as a project manager, I have a wrong estimation of this all, the pace and rate of development of my team, at the same time the capacity of my team. So as a project manager, you will be responsible for estimating this all the capacity and velocity of a team, and as per that you can lock the PBIs in that particular sprint. Otherwise the that sprint cannot be delivered. That sprint cannot be, instead of saying that release cannot be done, and hence the entire team will be in trouble. So in while picking these backlog items, after going through this user story, as we know that the backlog items, user stories are all available with all team members, are already added in the most of time all documents will be available by the project management tools. So all documentation is available. So in the spare time, team has to go through that. While sprint planning, whenever there is a grooming sessions with a product owner and the project managers or the team leads, they will the high priority PBIs can be picked up, and the sprint planning sprint backlog items can be locked, and in this manner, sprint wise, the releases of the sprint is decided. So today's agenda is to discuss this everything. What is exactly velocity planning in Scrum? How we can estimate that? So Team Axiom is going to present to you about that conceptualization of a velocity planning. At the same time, how we can practically able to estimate, evaluate this velocity of a team, so that it will help us all out to plan those all the estimation, and plan those all the sprint. And it is obvious that everyone expects that sprint has to be released on time. It should not be that backlog items cannot be carried forward to the next sprint. It should set for the QA, and after the QA it should go for the BA, business acceptance, and in this manner it will be diverted. It will be ready for the testing for client as well. So hope you now understand what is the objective of today's live stream. During these all the plannings, right, while when the sprint execution done and the retrospective starts, so obviously if the certain backlog items not get delivered or need to carry forward, then the questions arises about these all the stuffs, whether why you're not able to evaluate properly about the capacity and the velocity of a team, why the things are not delivered as per the expectations, right? And then to avoid this all the hassle related to the estimation, as I told you, it's all about the generalizations. It's all about the approximation about the estimations, right? Just like, let's say for example, the PBI which I told you about, the authentication of the user credentials and the OTP problem definitions. So even product owner also have an estimations how much generally how much time it will be required to deliver this. But there has to be some average, you cannot randomly give it anything else. Any numbers cannot be given to it. There has to be some calculations, estimation, right? In the same manner, it may be nearby mean value or the average value. In the same manner, as a project manager also, or as a team lead also, we should have that average mean value in the mind. How much time durations, how much uh, number of hours, production hours required, working hours required to justify to deliver that PPI. Let's make this forum open for Team Axiom and have an elaborations about this all the velocity planning in Scrum. And then if you have any queries, obviously after that the forum is open. You can ask the queries, and I'll try to answer all the possible queries related to this topic. Over to Team Axiom.
Thank you, sir, for overview. I'm Nutan Sunwane from Team Axiom TechGuru Pvt Limited. So, velocity planning in Scrum. See, agile methodology gives us various terminology like capacity planning, velocity planning, uh, for a different kind of we can say assumption, different kind of planning related to development of work as well as completion of the work. So today we start with the velocity planning in Scrum. Velocity is an extremely simple, powerful method for accurately measuring the rate at which Scrum development team consistently deliver business values here related to development, implementation of a specific product in time and accurately. It is an indication of the average amount of product backlog turned in during a sprint by a Scrum team, tracked by the development team for use within the Scrum team. So it's a mandatory necessity or to track every kind of development and implementation towards its completion. Velocity planning gives us that kind of idea and that kind of techniques to us for a particular development. Thus, to calculate velocity of our agile team, simply add up the estimates of the features, user stories, requirements, or backlog items successfully delivered in an iteration. See, this particular team which predict a particular how much scope can be delivered by a specific date, predicting a date for a fixed amount of scope to be delivered with respect to a work or implementation, understanding our limits while defining the amount of scope we will commit for a particular sprint here. Now, relationship of particular velocity or story point in Scrum. Story points are used to measure size and complexity, which means how long it takes us to finish a particular development. Story points is a relative measure of the time it takes to complete a user story. It is a concept borrowed from XP here. It is used to access the difficult of the story, not the promise of how long it will take. This is regardless of the size of the team or what is the task particularly, and we can use story point accordingly with respect to size of a team and what is a particular task we have. How to relate velocity to story point accordingly? Teams often need to use velocity as a measure of productivity to tell outsiders exactly how fast the Scrum team is available with a particular company. If the estimation of our story point is maintained throughout the project, it would make sense to use the story point to represent velocity over here. If the consistency is not only in the team but also in the cross team, even at the level of the entire company. This will not only measure productivity but also compare the status of each team as well as it shows the status of particular company work also. If the value of the story point is stable, then it can be used as a reference for the release planning over here. So we can or you can evaluate the possible schedules afterwards according to the velocity of particular team over here or work capacity. How we can estimate velocity more accurately? In Scrum, velocity helps us to understand how long it will take our team to complete the product backlogs over here according to the history of the sprint completion. However, it typically takes few sprints for the team figure out a more stable velocity uh, here. To estimate more accurate velocity for our team, we can gain the experience based on the past track record of the team. It will be more accurately forecasting for of how many stories a team can do in a particular sprint. For forecasting purposes, the average of the last 3 or 4 sprints velocity should be used as a history of a particular teamwork. Here, velocity. If a Scrum team has completed multiple sprints, the team can forecast release and product completion dates and plan future products more accurately by reviewing the velocity report. So, this particular velocity reports mandatory to plan a future work or a future sprint for a particular team over here based on the velocity of previous sprints that the report illustrate, we can accomplish the following goals. Track how much efforts our team has reported as complete for each sprint. And other one is estimate how much backlog effort our team can handle in future sprints if our team composition and sprint duration stay constant, or we can say as it is. Using velocity in Scrum, we can estimating future sprints, forecasting project timeliness, identifying over commitments and under commitments with respect to the time as well as the development work, tracking improvement and iterative progress here for a particular team or for a particular project. So we can go with a particular example related to this. See, if we have 3 sprint here in this particular table with a different story committed towards a particular work, like 5, 7, and 9 stories we committed for a particular work. But completed user stories out of 5 is 3 here. And each user story point is 8 to complete the particular work. With respect to that, if we see user story committed 5 and we have each user story point is 8, we have total story point in sprint as 40. But if we complete 3 out of 5, then we get a total story point in sprint as 24 only. Now, if we see sprint 2, we have user story committed to 7. And with the same story points 8, we calculate total story point sprint as 56. But if we completed 4 out of 7, then we get a total story point sprint as 32 over here. Now in sprint 3, if user stories committed 9 and we completed 5 out of 9, then we get total story points in a particular sprint. This particular velocity chart or a graph shows here. It shows a committed as well as delivered sprint over here, which is the lagging. So average, if we see average calculation, average velocity calculation over here with respect to this 3 sprints, we got a 32 sprint value for a particular sprint calculation. This is a history for a particular, we can say, sprints completion. If we see here for a future work or it's a reference for a future planning, a specific, we can say, planning for particular module. According to this velocity calculation or average velocity calculation, we can go with other future work planning. With respect to this, we can find it out or we can calculate or predict future work accordingly with respect to team, with respect to work, or with respect to sprints here over here. So we move towards our we can say presentation. Now, if we see a reason for this fluctuation related to velocity, we see in this particular example with respect to the sprints, we see the fluctuation with respect to velocity. The reason behind it, the project complexity, team size, uniformity in team membership, team ability to concentrate on Scrum stories and activities, system outage, lack of product owner engagement, and unexpected absence in team. So this particular reasons of fluctuation, which we over need to overcome in future with respect to future planning of velocity. This particular chart where we show with respect to example also velocity chart, which gives a forecast and actual value of our work. Through this particular chart, we have a graphical representation of our production of our work, that is the forecasting, and the actual work done with respect to team and the product, we can say, in a different sprint over here. So how does the velocity chart helps us? This chart helps us, it shows or it plays a big role in our future planning. See, it's track overall project status over here. With respect to this particular chart overview, we can assume the thing, we can predict the thing, and planning the future work accordingly in a particular train, we can say. The velocity chart computes a number of project trains such as accepted stories by type, volatility matrix, and iteration velocity. This makes the velocity chart ideal for monitoring overall project status. Track volatility. See, volatility is a measure of predictability here. Frequent velocity valleys and peaks may show you an unpredictable project, while iteration by iteration velocity implies a predictable one here. The next measure is no velocity trends according to this graph or a chart. Accepted story points may be less for a specific iteration when there is a large number of 0 point stories, chores, or bugs here. This chart makes this particular chores or bugs visible clearly by exhibiting iteration velocity dips along with an increasing in accepted bugs over here. So this chart plays a main role according to the sprint completion or sprint planning with respect to the future work. One who plan this kind of we can say work or this kind of sprints with respect to team, with respect to time, with respect to work we have and its complexity, we need to go through all the history work, all the we can say velocity fluctuation over here. We need to recover, we need to overcome this fluctuation in our we can say planning of a work and go through it in a analytical form, so that this kind of analytics helps us to complete a particular work with respect to deadlines, and we can achieve great heights accordingly. So agile technologies and methodologies plays a very important role with respect to Scrum and with respect to this planning also. So this is from my side. Thank you, everyone, to listening me in a way you are. So if you have any queries regarding this, my terms, you can go with it.
Hey, thank you, Nutan. It was really wonderful elaboration, and kudos to your efforts for developing these presentations and for explaining the example well to understand velocity planning in Scrum. So the forum is open for your queries. So what we found that there is internal maths we need to perform right from the product owner, who will estimate the story points for that user stories. He will take a lot of inputs with the help of Scrum Master to describe that that PBIs, right, acceptance criteria and all. And after that, the in the sprint planning, after the elaboration of these all the stuffs about the expectations, then project manager's role comes in a picture. That here the capacity, velocity, obviously it has to be deal, as I told you, it's an average value. Estimation always will be, you cannot say it's a exact things, right? It's an average one. But internally maths has to be performed, right? How much time, as per the capacity, how much velocity will be performed in a sprint 1, sprint 2, just like the example given by uh, Nutun, that she the average of 1, 2, 3, 4 sprints will give us the idea, that average value by which you can even able to evaluate the velocity of a team. And then in this manner you can predict or pre-estimate how much how much velocity of my team is, that average value. And on that basis you can pick up the PBIs, or it will help you to plan the sprint well, and do the execution of the sprint well, and get it delivered and release on the time over there, right? So I hope the conceptualization of sprint planning, sprint execution, sprint retrospective, these are the ceremonies, scrum ceremonies we are talking about. So most of the time we found that in the capacity we have of capacity of 8 hours, but we need to consider even that in case of in the development there is a scrum meets, scrum ceremonies will be there sometimes. So how much number of hours are devoted for that scrum ceremony, that will also need to be evaluated, because the team actually gets the production hours, that is different. And if it is 8 hours, maybe on an average 1.5 hours they may be they may be going for stand-up meets, scrum ceremonies. So that also need to be added and evaluated, and it will help us out to estimate the pace and the rate of development. Whenever we are talking about the velocity, it's like space and rate of development over there. And capacity means obviously if how much in that particular week or in that particular sprint, how many number of days are there. So somebody may be available throughout, somebody may not be available, maybe on the leave, or some technical challenges are there, so we need to find out the alternative. These all estimation internally is related to this all the sprint planning, and the scrum is made for this, so that like we can and these are related to the agile way of software development. So as a project manager, as a team lead, we need to have this internal calculations and maths going on, so that like you can able to find out the velocity of a team and the capacity of a team. And so that values, average values, will help you out to estimate how you can able to deliver the sprint over there. Thank you very much, guys, and especially kudos to Axiom, Team Axiom. They did a wonderful job of like preparing the presentations for us, and they develop the examples and make this event happen. Thank you very much. Have a great day ahead, and we'll meet again with the similar topics, so that together we will deliver the best to this industry. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Team Axiom.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.